Hello and welcome to the Corona Yoga Challenge. Today is day 200 and sadly we've gone up nearly 90,000 cases in 5 days. It's shocking, most ever. Anyway, we've made it to day 200 and I really felt we should have a celebration dance. Celebration dance completed. Time for some yoga, I would say. Before I change, there's something that I love to teach in yoga, and it's about tree pose and where to put your foot to get the ideal position. And this suit is superb for showing it. So do you see the quadricep comes here? And do you see there's a little space where the quadricep is not, if I put my leg like that, the quadricep is coming up here. This is where you want to put your heel, into this slightly spongier area, right here. This is that little nestling place where the heel sits into it, so it's not on the quadricep, and it's not right back here. It's just where the quadricep ends, and there's a really nice place that you can settle your heel into, and then you can press in with the side of the leg, in with the foot, so we get a nice even kind of meeting point, and then we get a really good place for the legs to sit together. So that is my little bit about tree pose. I'll do your tree pose and then I'll get changed for sure. So quadricep, heel comes up, settles into the side, so it's not on the quadricep, but it's forward of that seam line of the trousers. Hands come wide, up and down and onto your head, and we get that softening, widening across the shoulders, all the way up, out and down. And then we're going to swap over to the other side, just because I just have that real habit. Steady down to the supporting foot, heel comes up, settles in between the trouser seam and the quadricep, into that little dip that you can see in the muscles. Get that nice even pressure between the thigh and between the foot. Hands come widen up, down and onto your head. Shoulders soften, and then extending up, all the way out and down. And release the leg, come back to both feet even. So what I was thinking of doing at some point, depending on what time allows, is having a little look at other little tips that we can find through using the anatomy of the body and using the muscles of the body to work out how we can work into our yoga poses more effectively. But right now I'm definitely going to get changed, and I'll see you in 1 second. So we're going to start by coming onto your back. So if you want to bring yourself to lying out, so nice comfortable resting onto your back sensation. So you get that, breathe out, release the lower back. And you're going to let your knees start to move from one side to the other side. So just ease them out one way and the other way. And then come to pause in the middle. We're going to come into all fours now. So if you bring yourself round and into all fours, and we're going to do a similar movement in all fours. So same thing, can you just slide your hips from one side to the other side and notice, how does this feel? So in some ways we're doing something very, very similar, which is moving through the back, through the hips with a side-to-side movement, but quite a different quality. So what we're going to do is, if you come onto your back again, roll yourself over onto your back. So at the moment we're just going to rock the knees from one side to the other side. And what you'll notice is that there's a really, really good pressure through the lower back, a really, really even out sensation. It feels quite restful, it can be quite lazy really, really easily. And we can also slow it down so it becomes really, really soft or really, really subtle. And then if you bring yourself into all fours again, so all fours, we've not got the same pressure over the lower back, so there's not the same release there, but there's more freedom across the lower back. And for me, I find this movement much more helpful for the middle of the back, upper back and into the shoulders. So for me, just allowing my head to really release down here can be really, really lovely, and the movement of the hips starts to move up through the spine into the neck. And the more relaxed we can allow the head and the neck to be, the more we can get out of the movement of the hips. Bringing yourself back to nice and even, so we've got that lovely long spine. You're going to stretch your hands out in front of you. You're going to slide your hips back, but we're only going to slide the hips back so that they become over the knee joints. And then you're going to draw your chest down towards the floor. So we're coming into what's sometimes called puppy pose. I quite like to think of it as like a praying or a kind of devotion pose, where we take ourselves down to the floor. And you're thinking about drawing your chest, your upper chest down towards the floor, so we get a really lovely stretch out. And you can let your head rest onto the ground. And use your breath, so as you breathe out, you're almost sinking and expanding into it a little bit more. And then bring yourself up and onto your elbows. You're going to bring your elbows in, so your elbows are more or less underneath your shoulders, and we're going to have our elbows fairly narrow. So if I show you from the front, we're going to have our elbows so that they are, at the moment my elbows are more or less parallel underneath my arms, but when I look down at them, it looks like my elbows are narrower. So just have a little think about the position of your elbows and making them narrower than your elbows when you look down, so that we've got a really good base. And if you've got long sleeves on, if you just slide them up a bit so that you have got good contact between your mat and your elbows. And we're going to come up into elbow dog pose. So to do this, we need to be steady down through the elbow, down through the wrist. The hands can be relaxed. I tend to have my hands up, and I just like them to be softly kind of interlinked. You can have yours in a variety of other positions as well, of course, but the most important thing is that we've got a really good contact, elbow, wrist, down on the ground. And we're going to use that kind of anchoring point through the lower arms to bring ourselves up. So you can slide your hips forwards and back a couple of times. And then as the hips come back, press into the elbows, lift up with the hips. And you can tuck your toes under so that you can gently sink down through the heels. Take an easy breath, and then let your knees come down, let your head rest down. Back of the body softens, breathing relaxes. We're going to come up to do that again with the option of taking a leg up and away from the floor if you would like. So when we do sliding back and forth into dog pose, we tend to make quite a long sliding movement. When we're coming up to elbow dog pose, you want to slide your shoulders just past your elbows and then lift up. So it's a much smaller rocking movement that's going, or the place where you lift up is much sooner. So slide your hips forwards and back, get that nice long sliding movement, and then just as the elbows pass the shoulders past the elbows, lift up. Down with the feet, you're going to lift one leg up towards the ceiling, give it a nice stretch up, and then swap over so the other one can stretch up. Wow, lovely waking up feeling for the legs. Bring the feet down to the floor, knees come down, head rests down, body relaxes. And again, we breathe out, we soften through the back of the waist, soften through the back of the pelvis and into the shoulders. And then pressing into your feet, you're going to bring yourself back and into all fours. And from here, we're going to bring ourselves up to standing. So we're going to walk our hands back in towards our knees. We're going to lift up through the hips, soften through the back of the knees, so you can fold forwards and rest onto your own legs. So we get that little lift up through the tailbone, and the shoulders are just nice and soft. And then bend through the knees, spread wide and up through the hands to bring yourself all the way up to standing, and then bring your hands down towards your heart. We're going to come into a nice traditional triangle pose, or a nice version of triangle pose. Really do traditional triangle pose anymore. So from standing on your mat, sorry, I'm just going to have to move this a little bit. So from standing on your mat, take a nice step forwards, make it quite a big step if it's comfortable for you. You're going to have a little bit of softness through this front leg. You're going to angle your shoulders round towards the long edge of your mat. And then you're going to slide yourself forwards so that you've got no feeling of stress or tension through the lower back, through the back of the waist. And then you're going to start to let your leg lengthen out if it feels good. And you're going to let your backhand come up again, just however it wants to move. You're going to stay nice and steady through the feet. And you're going to get that lovely feeling of being able to open out and round with the rib cage, which opens that top hand. Hand on your leg is really gentle. And then bring your top hand onto the back of your body. Lightly draw back with the tummy muscles to bring yourself round and to facing the short edge of your mat again. And then we're going to swap over. So the leg is going to be in front, so spread down through the back heel, get that really nice settling, steadying feeling. Front knee is slightly bent, you're going to lean yourself slightly forwards, and then we're opening towards the long edge of your mat, so we're opening round with the rib cage. We're going to start to ease forwards and gently lengthen out through that front leg if you would like to. Back hand can come up. We get that rotation round of the rib cage and the shoulder blades stay soft and away from the face. Hand on the straight leg is soft and gentle. And then back hand comes onto the back of your body. Rotate yourself round to face the short edge of your mat. Bring yourself up and to standing. Back to that settled and even feet. And we're just going to come to Tadasana for a moment. So Tadasana is settling back into the heels, back with the tummy slightly, so we almost draw the hips back slightly. Then we lift up and underneath the rib cage, and then it's soft down through the rib cage, long up through the back of the neck and into the head. So we get all sorts of areas that are lifting up, wide out across the upper chest. We've got all sorts of areas of the body that are lifting up, and almost the equal amount but different areas of the body that are softening down, so that we find a kind of real balance of that lifting and releasing. So we're doing both things at once, with the aim of coming to a place where the body can be open, can be soft, but also can be strong, so that it's not just soft and it's not just strong, that we've got that openness, softness and strength all together. We're going to come down to do a little bit of breathing just now, so if you want to bring yourself to a comfortable sitting position. So we've got to do our traditional breathing, haven't we? We're going to do our lovely little sips of breath in and then an easy breath out. But to start with, just get yourself nice and comfortable where you are. So really easy, quiet, back of the belly feels happy. That sort of place and zone for you. And then choosing whether you want to do a little bit of this breathing or all of it or just some of it, so that you give yourself so much permission to just adapt however feels right for you. Because it's so important when we're doing home practice and we're getting more into our yoga, that there's that internal direction that it comes from. Oh, this wants to do this. Oh, yes. That you've got that feeling of your body telling you what the way it wants to be. So that you can take all the teaching from millions of different wonderful people in the world, and then you can come to your little bits of that and weave that together into what you need most of all. So, in breath. And out. And again. And out. Slow it right down if you would like to. breathing settle. My challenge for you today is to make up a blessing. So it could be a blessing that you just are like a direction to yourself, or it could be a blessing to someone. So it could be, may this person find what they need. May this person find peace. May this person find joy. It could be that you do it for yourself. It could be that you have a blessing that's a kind of wider one, which is more like, may the universe unfold and do what it needs to do. You might want one that's much more focused on right now and here and now. It might be that it's, oh, please may this person, be safe with whatever situations are going on in their life. I tend to go for the wider ones because it's really hard to know what somebody else might truly need in their deepest being and the kind of their life pattern and life stuff. So I tend to keep it wider. But it's a very lovely process, going through the feelings of working out what you would most like this blessing to be, and to almost refining that. So allow yourself to think the words in your head, and then to see if you can adapt them a little bit, until you get that real feeling of, oh yes, that I'm happy, I'm settled with that. I can say that and feel, yeah. So that's my challenge for you today. And my quote for you today is from my Iyengar. Yoga teaches us to cure what need not be endured, and to endure what cannot be cured. Yoga teaches us to endure what cannot be cured, and to cure what need not be endured. Perfect yoga quote. And I think very fitting for us to end the Corona Yoga Home Practice Challenge, day 200 with. That sense that we can take our yoga way into what it needs to be, wherever you are, whatever is happening in your life, that it can serve you and you can serve it, and you can serve beyond you, whatever is going on in the world. And I am looking forward to my creative ideas for what's next, but they haven't happened yet. So I'm going to say goodbye just now, and I will see you in a week or two. And I will have some news for you then. I'm wishing you all the very, very best. Love and peace.